Let the record reflect, we're calling tonight's meeting in order at 7:39 p.m., 9 minutes late to schedule. If you have any cell phones, pages or anything like that, electronic devices that could disturb the meeting, please put them on silent or vibrate. With that being said, I'll entertain a roll call from the clerk.
Trustee Abraham.
Here.
Trustee Benson. Trustee Turner.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Present.
Trustee McGreer.
Here.
Trustee Morris.
Here.
Trustee Brown Marino.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please take a moment of silence. Next item on the agenda is the swearing in of new police officer, Neil Ryan McMahon.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Neil Ryan McMahon,
I, Neil Ryan McMahon,
having been appointed to the office of police officer,
having been appointed to the office of police officer,
the village of Broadview,
Village of Broadview,
county of Cook,
County of Cook,
state of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
dated this 19th day of August, 2013.
dated this 19th day of August, 2013.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations and welcome.
Is that your first check already?
Next item on the agenda, public comment.
The first one up for public comment is Ms. Marquita Smith.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just have one quick question. I realized we had the budget hearing, which the general public really couldn't attend. This is during working hours for most of us. So I'd like to know, I looked on the web page and it's not posted, so at some point will it be posted?
It will be posted.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Gordon.
I did attend the public hearing for the budget. It was very informative. I feel very happy that you seem to have a tight budget, one that's not unrealistic, it's very realistic. You're taking a look at the monies that are coming in and working under that level. You have great plans for the village. I'm hoping that we will be able to complete the water project on a timely basis, because that's going to be a very important thing. And I thought that the presentations made by the chief of police and by the fire chief were extremely informative, well thought out, and stating their facts clearly and succinctly regarding what the needs are of those departments.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Yeah, the budget hearing was very interesting with a very detailed PowerPoint presentation. And just for the public record, the reason it hasn't been put on the website is it hasn't been passed yet. It was merely a hearing to discuss it, tweak it, and the budget that we have that's posted out there right now is not exactly the one that's going to be presented and probably passed. And the one that the trustees have right now got a couple of scrivener's errors in there. Tom Hood's going to speak to that tonight when we get to the budget. So that's it for public comments. Mr. Clerk, we're going to the next agenda.
Yes. Item number 3, consideration to approve the following minutes of August 5th, 2013 with the following corrections. You'll follow along with me. New business, B. Motion by trustee McGreer, which McGreer instead of Morris. The discussion, Greer had comments and explanation regarding increases on the fees. The E of new business. Absent, it has absent, McGreer and Brown Marino, they were not absent. Application for authority to expend funds. B, motion by trustee Turner, seconded by trustee Abraham. One other item on there on A, trustee Brown Marino commented that the board does not have the authority, not ability, the authority to pay funds. If you go to D, motion by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee McGreer to approve application to expend funds on widget. And again, trustee Brown Marino commented the board does not have the authority, not the ability.
With those changes, I motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, properly motion by trustee McGreer, properly seconded by trustee Turner to approve the minutes. Has everyone seen the minutes, or has anyone got any further corrections on the minutes, starting with trustee Brown Marino?
No.
Okay, trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer?
None.
Trustee Turner?
No.
Trustee Benson?
I did email you. Did you get my?
I did not get your email.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
You want to make a note for the record, what the correction is, so we can have it in the record?
Sure. It was, referencing the, authority to expend funds, the application for being technical. The motion was made by Turner, I second. Superseding motion, was Turner, Abraham. My vote on the superseding motion to table was no. I don't see that here. And I also mentioned to you about, you already read it off.
Yes.
But I emailed you about E, where it says trustee McGreer and J. Brown Marino were absent.
All right.
That was it.
Okay, so noted. So let the record reflect that you got one additional correction to that. Trustee Abraham, do you have any? No, okay. So you got one additional correction. Mr. Clerk, would you please make sure that the minutes reflect the correction before they get posted out to the website, and make sure the trustees get a completed copy of it? Well, with no further questions or comments that I have none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, that motion carries to pass those minutes. Mr. Clerk?
Number 4, consideration to approve expenditures, grand total of all funds, $259,800.16.
I make a motion to approve with the exception of a bill for $27,526.62 for Tornado Law Firm.
I second.
Okay, it's been properly motioned by trustee Abraham and properly seconded by trustee McGreer to approve these expenditures with the exception of, did that have an invoice number to it?
Invoice number,
2694.
2694.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yes.
Yes, 2694.
2694, okay. With the exception of 2694. Having said that, do I have a report of finance on everything else?
Yes.
Karen?
Okay. For Al Warren Oil Company Incorporated, $25,575. AT&T is $3,320.47. The Broadview Police Pension is $3,726.74. Climate Tech Service Group LLC, excuse me, $17,520. J. Narduli Concrete Incorporated, $19,423.67. The law offices of Bill Fernero, his original total was $35,504.37. However, we're reducing that amount. Mines Incorporated was $72,000. The Bank of New York Mellon Trust was $50,000. TNT Towing and Recovery, $5,400. Trine Construction, $5,000. Widgets Truck Center, $2,957.15. The subtotal, or the new subtotal for all our vendors, over $2,500 is going to be $212,900.78. So our total expenditures now are going to be $232,273.54, and that's a percentage of 93%.
Okay, thank you, trustee Abraham. Questions or comments from the members of the board? Trustee Marino?
Well, we're so close to having a budget and the authority to spend money. I wish we could have taken that agenda item before paying the bills, and that's my only comment for today.
Trustee Moore? No. Trustee McGriff?
You know, I'm not sure if trustee Abraham is going to expound on it, but the last board meeting, we talked about the very invoice that we're questioning and pulling out, along with a lot more. And in speaking to the finance department, I've got over $400,000 in invoices for attorney fees, court proceedings, etc., dealing with the recent election. And we were asked to do an analysis on it, and it's just so much stuff to go through. We're still working on that, but trustee Abraham, I don't want to steal any thunder. If you're going to speak on any of this, I probably concur with what you're saying, but there's a lot to go through, and we're going to have a further report on this at another time. But,
Okay. Does that conclude?
That does.
Okay. Trustee Turner?
No comment.
Trustee Benson?
No comment.
And trustee Abraham?
Yes, I do want to comment on that particular bill with Bill Fernero that was pulled out, $27,526.62. I've shown it to my fellow trustees, obviously, as they're looking through it, there's numerous pages. I've mentioned it, I was able to speak with our attorney, Mark Stellato, regarding some of the line items on that bill regarding different conferences and correspondence with trustee Brown Marino regarding the Chicago Joes and her presence at depositions and giving her updates on hearings and scheduling. Again, she's not, I don't remember the board voting on her to be our spokesperson or report giver of what goes on. And now we're being charged for this by our legal department for these various inquiries. And in this one particular bill, it was quite a few line items with this. So I'm not sure if if Phil or yourself, Mark, would want to comment on it, or we need to wait for Phil.
I would not be in a position to comment on it beyond the fact that I have spent time dealing with issues raised by trustee Marino, updating her and having her be aware of what's going on in Chicago.
Okay, so every time there's a question by her, by a phone call or an email, we're going to be charged, so that they would obviously carry with the rest of the trustees inquiring so that our taxpayers would have to carry this burden, or couldn't there be a general report given to us in an executive session, or, I mean, obviously these fees over here, I'm not sure if my fellow trustees seen some of the amounts for a half an hour, for a few hours. You know, it does get expensive. I mean, you understand where I'm coming from as a finance chair and protecting the taxpayers here.
I understand completely, and please understand that generally we don't charge to speak with our clients, but this is more than just being on the phone and saying when a court date is. These are legal issues having to do with whether or not Ms. Marino can represent the village and sit in depositions, and it's sending her copies of transcripts,
Right.
and having to dedicate staff to do that, and it's more extensive than the deposition is going tomorrow. There are other issues involved.
Right.
And there's, since we're on this topic now, there's actually a huge amount of work now that's going to be necessary, because the attorneys in Chicago Joe's have subpoenaed Ms. Brown Marino's videotapes, and she has something like 400 hours of videotapes that we're going to now have to review, and we're going to be forced to put a motion on file to try to limit that discovery, bar that discovery, but it's an issue that's now arisen. It's going to sidetrack us for a while.
Right, I mean, I'm looking at different things here, Mayor. There was review of case files. There was inquiries regarding, current depositions of witnesses coming in. I mean, it's just ongoing.
I got a question for the attorney. As I recall, there was a motion to intervene made by trustee Marino with the court, and her motion was denied to intervene. She's not identified in any of the lawsuits, so she's not a member of the board or the zoning board. She's not the complainant in this case. Do we actually have an obligation to incur legal fees to have discussions with her regarding this?
We don't have an obligation
to what is the exposure? The point I'm trying to make is if she's not part of the case, you know, why would we have to incur legal fees to have a conversation with her? Aside from the fact that the complainant wants the tapes and wants to depose or whatever the case may be. But why would we have all these additional extra dialogue, billable hours created by this individual after the courts have already told her that she's not allowed into the case?
From our perspective, we treated her as a client because she's inquiring in her official capacity. If the board directs us not to deal with her, not to give her updates and deal with her beyond what she's being questioned on in her personal capacity, because everything with regard to the tapes is her personal capacity, then we won't deal with her in that manner.
And if you follow that line of thinking, Mr. Attorney, I would tell you this. You got 6 trustees up here. Each one of them could incur the same amount of legal fees. If they were all going to call you, you're going to have a long dialogue with each other. And then the taxpayers would have to pay all this tremendous amount of money. I think that one encapsulated, report to us would be sufficient. If Trustee Marino wants to send you information and give you whatever it is that you need, that's different. But to have, these type of fees charged is extravagant.
Your Honor, that's perfectly fine, and we can do it in executive sessions if we're dealing with attorney-client privileged information. And let me just reiterate, as we look through those fees, it's not us just picking up the phone and saying a court date is on this date. It's having to deal with the issues that arise by her being there. And a big issue is she's sitting in on depositions. Well, she's sitting in on depositions, but is she doing it in her personal capacity or her official capacity? And what effect does that have on her future testimony in her personal capacity? She's listening to witness testimony. So we need to research that issue. And we actually had a hearing on that issue before the court to determine what capacity she was being there. So it's more than just giving her updates. It's dealing with the issues that arise because of what she's doing.
So you feel that she has the Chinese?
I'm sorry?
Oh, you still talking?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you guys had the opportunity. So would you say that this is muddling the case? Is this creating a distraction? Is this a problem? And if it's not beneficial to the taxpayers out here, why would we even be entertaining? And if in fact she's supposed to be deposed or give testimony, why would the courts even allow her to sit in on other people's depositions to get other information? And I know that you guys are looking at it, but at the end of the day, the taxpayers are paying for it.
And I agree with you 100%. And to respond to your initial comment, I would say that Miss Brown Marino's intervention and dealings in Chicago Joe's has needlessly cost the village hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Pardon me, can you say it again?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Which has cost us?
Yes. And needlessly, her motion to intervene had absolutely no chance in the court. And now, the side issue that we have with regard to reviewing these tapes that she has is going to cost a lot of money if we don't challenge, because we're going to have someone sit down and review 400 hours worth of tapes. And it's going to cost us a lot of money if we do challenge, because we're going to have to go through motion practice with the court to convince the court that there's absolutely no use to reviewing these tapes because it's needlessly wasteful, and everything that her tapes are going to demonstrate is all in the public record with regard to minutes. So either way we go, it's going to cost money, and it has to be addressed because this issue has arisen. It has arisen now.
Okay. Well, at this point, we can discuss this at once. We can be all night. I think that we got a motion on the floor to pay bills with the exception of the $127,000 bill from Fernando's law firm. And I would direct the attorney to just send us a response as relates to the charges contained in that bill related to Trustee Marino and whatever other questions that the other trustees have.
Okay.
With that being said, we're going to need a roll call on this from Mr. Garni. All positives would be to approve. A yes vote is to approve the payment of all the bills with the exception of the one for Canara Law, and a no is to disapprove the payment of the rest of the bills.
Trustee Abraham?
The motion now is what, for a new amount?
It's for the new amount.
For the new amount that I read, the 232?
Minus Canara, that's what.
Yes.
Trustee Benson?
Yes.
Trustee Turner?
Yes.
Trustee McGreer?
Yes.
Trustee Morris?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino?
No.
Okay, and the motion carries 5-1 to pay the bills with the exception of, with the invoice number
2764, please. 2694, sorry.
2694.
Okay, let the record reflect that we will be paying all of the bills with the exception of 2694. Clerk?
Item number 5, reports from village officers. Building Department, Commissioner David Upshot.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I've just got basically 3 or 4 bullet points that I want to cover with everyone regarding housing in the state of Illinois and foreclosures. So just a few statements I'd like to read to you all. In February, the Illinois Supreme Court announced rules establishing a uniform protocol for the foreclosure process. Among the rules outlined, lenders must have homeowners with information about the process, must provide them with information about the process and the consequences of foreclosures. Lenders must seek modifications with eligible homeowners before completing the foreclosure process. Legal services to the owners are required throughout the process before the foreclosure sale, and the Illinois Circuit Courts with mediation programs would be required to provide resources for HUD certified consulting. In other words, free legal help for the individuals or homeowners whose homes are either in the foreclosure process or have been foreclosed on. Second, fast-track foreclosure legislation approved effective June 2013. Public Act 97-1164 creates a fast-track foreclosure process for property deemed abandoned by the court. This legislation was signed by Governor Quinn in March and was effective on June 1st. It is estimated that this will shorten the time frame on those properties by an estimated 18 months. In order to implement the fast-track program, a lender must petition the court for an expedited foreclosure proceeding and show that the property is abandoned as defined in the Act. Also part of this fast-track foreclosure process was an increase in fees, and the fees will be from $50 to $500 to the lenders. Third thing that I'd like everyone to be aware of is that we're seeing an increase in sales, particularly the foreclosed properties are outpacing the new additions to the foreclosure list. Pretty much is you got investors, in Broadview we have some homeowners, but we have more investors buying property, and what they're doing is just flipping the property. They're buying them cheap and they're selling them anywhere from $85,000 to $125,000. Lastly, I'd like everybody to be aware of that I've had several inquiries about businesses coming to Broadview and Roosevelt Road corridor from 13th Avenue to 25th. From cleaners to a restaurant to a fitness center. And what I found out, unbeknownst to me, was that these are viable businesses that we would want in the village of Broadview, and that the actual property owners, a majority of the property on Roosevelt Road are in foreclosure. I hate to say that, but they are. And I'll use Unique Auto, which I think everybody's familiar with. They were located on 15th, between 14th and 15th at Broadview on the north side of the street. They moved because they were paying, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 a month, but the owner of the property was not paying, obviously, his mortgage. So they had to move, they're still in Broadview, right here on 25th, so that's a good thing. But I'm starting to see more and more of that, where the owner of the property, they're collecting the rent, or whatever's in their lease agreement, but they're not paying their mortgage. And I'm starting to see those come across my desk, that the properties are being foreclosed on or are in the beginning of the foreclosure process. So I just wanted to share that with everyone, Mr. President, before that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ochoa.
Thank you.
You got questions from the board? Anybody? Trustee Marino?
Yes, when you said we're talking about the uniform rules regarding foreclosure, did you say the U.S. Supreme Court or the Illinois Supreme Court?
Illinois Supreme Court. And this information comes from the June 2013 Illinois Association of Realtors newsletter.
Okay, thank you.
Ready?
Oh, nothing from me.
Yes? Trustee Ochoa?
None.
Thank you, Ochoa. Mr. Clerk?
Next report, Finance Department, Dan Baptist.
Good evening, Mr. Holmes, Board Trustees, and community residents. The month of July for the general fund. In the month of July, the village reported $479,000 in revenue, while reporting $1,300,000 in expenses. So for the month of July, we netted a net surplus of just under $476,000. When you look at July's revenues, the breakout is as follows: $720,000 in property taxes, $213,000 in sales taxes, $92,000 in utility taxes, $135,000 in state income taxes, $124,000 in replacement taxes, and $11,000 in state use taxes. On a local level, the building department generated $58,000 in various permit and inspection activities. The police department generated $32,000 in fines and towing activities, and the fire department generated $45,000 in various building and ambulance and hospital billing fees. Also, in July, the village did receive $32,000 in various grant funds. $31,000 of it is actually reimbursement for the COPS grant, which pays the salaries and benefits of one full officer. They reimburse us on a quarterly basis. And the fire department also received a $1,000 CPR grant to give more CPR classes. That's from the American Heart Association. Yeah, American Heart Association. Lastly, in the revenues in July, we had $12,000 in reimbursements for insurance, workers' comp, and miscellaneous building and legal fees. If you look at our expenses in July, as usual, the bulk share of our spending is always labor and benefits. They make up 82% of our monthly spending. The next most significant item is always contractual services. Of the $136,000 that was spent in July, $25,000 was for legal and professional service invoices. $42,000 is our monthly general liability invoices, actually, for our workers' comp and general liability insurance. $23,000 in various repair and maintenance expenses. $12,000 is our allocation of the 10% portion that's due to Broadview's library of the replacement taxes, and $6,000 was paying the towing fees for our towing vendor. Within our supplies, of the $46,000, $24,000 related to gas expenditures, gas and oil. Let's see. Looking on a year-to-date basis, what I did was compare, since I went to what we approved. It was not approved at the time of this preparation, comparing it to the same time last year, which is July 2000. If you look at it, basically our revenues are running right in line, and our expenditures are running higher. Looking closer, our property taxes, which are running $227 behind this point last year, It's all the timing of collections of the second installment bills, which were due August 1. Running a little slower than last year, however, through last Monday, we have received over just about $1 million. So the taxes are coming in, people are paying their taxes on time, and the county is releasing them in a timely basis. Utility taxes are running a lot less than last year, primarily in phone tax. As people, I believe, are starting to go more cell phones versus home phones. But we get what we get. In the governmental, both state income taxes and corporate replacement taxes are running significantly higher than this time last year. And of course, our locally generated revenues from our building, police, and fire department, they're actually running 19% more than what they were running at this time last year, which was significantly over last year's budget. So, you know, the pressure's on, gentlemen. I want to see the cash keep coming. Okay. I'm sorry. I just had to put that little personal commentary. On a year-to-date basis, if you look at the expenditures, 3 departments sort of jump out at you. The first one meaning they're running higher than they run at this time last year. The executive department is because of the legal expenses, the labor and legal expenses. The fire department actually is a combination. The pension is actually running lower, but that's offset because this time last year, actually this month last year, July last year, we bought a brand new ambulance, which they're using. So when you net that offset, it's about $48,000 that we're running higher. The police department is running higher, primarily due to the additional heads that we brought in over in the second half of the fiscal year. And that concludes my reports, unless you have any questions.
Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Marino?
No.
Trustee Morris? No. Trustee McGregor?
None.
Trustee Turner?
No.
Trustee Benson?
No.
And Trustee Abraham?
Next report, Fire Department, Chief Gardner.
Good evening, Mayor, Bill Ford, residents, guests. This is the report for the fire department for July 2013. Over the past month, we responded to 162 emergency calls. For our contracts with Loyola Hines and Madden, we responded to 2 fire reports of fire at Loyola, 15 ambulance responses for a total of 17 for the month, and 144 responses for the year. We did respond on one call to an ambulance call to the Loyola Fitness Center, which is billed as a separate line item for the campus, for a total of 10 responses so far this year. Hines VA responded 16 times with an ambulance for a total of 74 for this year, and Madden 1 response with an ambulance for a total of 20. Fire Prevention Bureau performed 45 inspections and cited 97 violations. Training, last month we completed 174 hours of training on various fire and EMS subjects. Our ship personnel participated in an interdepartment training drill at our burn tower, which has been retrofitted with funds through a grant through Division 20. So we were doing live fire training with Maywood and Westchester. We did some building familiarization at O'Reilly Auto Parts, which was just recently built. We went over there and got familiar with that on 17th Avenue. Our ship personnel completed hazmat training on chlorine emergencies, which is important because we get a lot of chlorine on the railroad as well as some places in town, Park District, that use large bulks of chlorine. Firefighter Monks completed his state fire marshal certification for trench rescue and confined space rescue. Firefighter Kenny, this is a pretty big deal. She attended a 2-week class in Emmitsburg, Maryland, which is where the National Fire Academy is for the United States. She elected to go there. It's a very tough course. The nice big part about it is there's no charge for these classes when we send people there. And we are also reimbursed for any transportation costs, meal costs, all of that. So basically a free press, and it's pretty prestigious to be able to even attend there. So that was a big deal. So she completed 2 weeks there. We performed a CPR class at the request of North Cross Roofing Company, which is over here on Beach Street. We got all their people trained for the company, trained in CPR. Lieutenant block party, 2500 block of 11 with Trustee McGreer. And EMS personnel received their monthly EMS training on childbirth. And it just so happens, training came at a good time because the guys helped deliver a baby about 2 weeks ago. Called me. They received accolades from Loyola for their job well done on that as well. As far as our billing information, we collected $13,849.34 from our billing company, with a net collection of $15,063.17. We billed out $11,250 for Loyola responses, $14,520 for Hines Hospital, and $750 for J.J. Madden, for a total of $26,520 for the month of July. We did receive $23,299.16 in collections from Loyola Hines and J.J. Madden. And I'd just like to mention we are having another CPR class this Saturday at the fire station, which is August 24th, and that's at 9 in the morning. So if you know of anyone or would like to take the class, please call the firehouse and we'll get you signed up. If you're a village resident, there's no charge at all for the class. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Gardner. Questions or comments from the members of the board? Trustee Marino?
About your monthly report, no. I wish more people were able to see the presentation that you did for the budget hearing, though.
Thank you.
And I would imagine we'll talk more about that later, but no, other than that, no.
Trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer?
Yeah, just piggybacking on Trustee Brown, that was a A1 super report that you gave during the budget hearing. I was really impressed about other ways to support our staffing and ideas that you have as far as rate increases that are long overdue, and I hope we can talk about that a little bit later as far as approving the budget. I want to thank the fire department as well as the police and public works for attending and supporting our blood club party on July 27th. The kids really enjoyed the EMS and the ambulance and trying on the suit. Yeah, I'm sure they did. They looked like they were having a good time with them. So I think we should do more of that in the village, interact with the public. And it's about bringing the community together. So thank you again for that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Trustee Turner?
I'll see you Saturday morning. Have breakfast.
Okay. Trustee Benson? And Trustee Abraham?
No.
I've got one comment. As we go through this process, trying to get the budget straight, and we get the chiefs are getting involved, all the department heads get involved. I see my police and fire chiefs are very creative when they want money. So, yeah, thanks, Chief. Well, my job hard.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Clerk.
Next report, Police Department, Chief Hira.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, board, residents.
Good evening.
The July 2013 monthly report for the Police Department. Obviously we know that the fire department received a new ambulance, and so the old ambulance is now the secondary, and the old ambulance, we converted that into a public safety command post or public safety command vehicle, or we use it as a temporary police processing area, which was used already several times at the time, and it was an excellent operation. Funding for its conversion is being handled through grants, seizure funds, and other alternative funding from the fire and police funds. So we're trying not to go into our budget to fund this vehicle. We're going into other type of funding sources. We had a town hall meeting at Beverly, and it was great. We received a lot of information. We also provided information to the residents, and some of the information we received from the residents, we also forwarded to the park district. A lot had to do with the park district. We are also scheduling a future town hall meeting for the residents in the area of 13th Avenue to 17th Avenue north of Roosevelt Road, which we know as the Acres. Right now, location date will be announced when confirmed. So we're going to try to do these town hall meetings periodically throughout the village. We had 30 monthly violations. As it relates to arrests comparison, we had 36 arrests in July, and we had 48 arrests in June. Overall total citations for July, we had 437. In June, we had 418. The fines and fees collected in July, we brought in 32,000. In June, we brought in approximately 32,000 as well. The crime index for the month of July was 51. It was 51, and July of 2012 was 44, so it went up a little bit. Some of that had to do with the criminal damage to properties that we received in one area, and we also, the other one was the attempted theft from vehicle. That one we arrested one subject, and the other subject fled, went in the creek, but we've identified that other subject, so we are now attempting to locate that subject. And just as a word, wisdom, please lock your doors. What these individuals are doing, what they were doing, they'll just go by cars, see the door is unlocked, open her up, want to see what's in plain view, and please make sure you lock your doors when you go home at night. We had calls for services for July. We had 2,332 calls for services compared to June 2068. 6 arrest warrants, 2 individuals were fingerprinted. We had 14 cases cleared out of 42 cases in the detective force. Broadview command staff met with residents of the Beverly Park area. Also participated in the North Riverside 4th of July parade, and also participated in the Broadview Park District Back to School party. I also want to indicate, as indicated in past presentation, about 2 eye-in-the-sky, 2 cameras that we are purchasing. One for 17th and Lexington, and one for 15th and Lexington. One is going to be paid out of a TIF fund, and the other one will be paid out of drug seizure. So we are hoping that the request goes to the board approves the expenditures from the TIF to go purchase this camera. I know I discussed this in the past with Trustee Marino asked me what type of camera it was. We've already paid, the police department already paid 50% out of the 13,000 for the camera that's going to be located at 15th and Lexington. Now we're in the process of dialogue and conversation between ComEd, H&H Electric, and our Public Works Director to figure out some options for an electrical to the poles. In communication, we received a communication from Wooddown School, District 92. They do this every year, it's back to school parade route. I'll be submitting this to Director Ames, so we could have some barricades up there. I believe the fire department received this in the correspondence, and it's for Wednesday, August 21st at 9:15 a.m. and it will conclude at 10:15 a.m. It's from 18th to 13th Street, 21st, and then take that to 15th Street, and it goes back to the school.
Thank you, Chief. I just, before we get to the members of the board, I just wanted to point out that those cameras are in the highest crime rated, going to be going into the highest crime rated area in the village. And if you just look at the bar graph, it shows that it's got almost double the next highest level, next highest area. Chief, because you didn't separate it out, you just gave the total number, right? Right. So that particular area where those cameras are going, just this month had 599 calls, all by itself, in that little 12-block area. The next highest number for an area in town with calls was 338. So it's critical to get the cameras over there. And it's right next to the Mexican border. It's right next to a lot of the problems that are filtering over to the village of Broadview. So just wanted to make that note and make sure everyone knew what was going on with those cameras. So the bar graph is very telling.
And Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the camera's also mobile, so eventually we could also move that throughout town and see that there are all hot spots in the area. We can do that as well.
Both of them are mobile?
Yes.
Okay. They got 2 cameras that'll probably be able to be moved at some later day, hopefully. So that means you'll be able to clean up the area.
I hope.
All right. Trustee Marino?
No, I have none.
Trustee Morris? No. Trustee McGreer?
Yes, Chief, thank you again for the town hall meeting in Beverly. I was in attendance and you guys did give some great information. We shared some information with you. And it was good to see your entire upper management staff there, as well as the officers that were on duty. I'm looking forward to the other ones that we have around town. Also, thank you for the police department's participation in our block club party on the 27th. You guys were, sorry to say it, the second biggest hit of the day after the ambulance. But Officer from 40, Sergeant from 40 did come out with the Hummer, and the kids loved him, so we appreciate that. Thank you. Concludes my report.
Trustee Tucker?
I want to say thank you for the work that you're doing over in the 80 acres area where I live, especially on the time me and my 2 security dogs walked down there, just to see what was going on. It was very professional done. One question, do you have a guesstimation when the cameras might go up?
It's contingent upon our conversation with H&H Electric, Commonwealth, Public Works, decide how we're going to. So I'm anticipating hopefully another 1 minute.
I'm finished, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bennett?
Yeah, I thought you had a question about that. I have a question about she had one about the alley.
Trustee Amen?
Yes, I do. One, I want to thank you, Chief, for coming over to the Beverly and addressing it. Obviously, I lived there. There was some incidents and episodes that were ongoing, and I noticed on the call for the beat area, obviously, we used to be at the bottom with maybe 50 calls a month, and in this particular month, after the chief and his staff had met with the residents and encouraged them to call for anything that was suspicious or didn't look right, and our calls had jumped up to about 307 calls in July. So you're talking about over months, over a year of me looking at this report and looking at 40 or 50 calls. Now we have more residents involved. And I think that's the most important thing. Because one of the things at this meeting was they need help, as far as eyes and looking at what's going on. I also know with what you explained to the residents, and obviously the park, he was saying that the park was an issue. Obviously, it was kind of the, drawing people there that were over the age of 18 to do different activities. And obviously, they have addressed that with the park district as well as with the police department driving through. So again, our kids can go out and play, and the seniors can walk the dog and feel safe. So I want to thank you on that behalf from the residents of Beverly. Also, the other thing regarding the car, obviously that was something my husband had experience with the doors being left unlocked, so he learned a valuable lesson, and sitting in the middle of the driveway at 4 or 5 a.m., I believe it happened, the resident had noticed it, saw somebody in the yard. So again, with the call count going up, obviously now everybody's watching, looking out for each other, and that's why that chase ensued. The guy ran through the creek, we couldn't get him, but that's just residents looking out. I think we need to do more of that and be respectful to our fellow residents and getting to know them in the area. That was one of the things you had said at that town hall meeting, and I thought it was a great idea that you went into that section and talked to the residents. We had a great turnout. A lot of questions came up. He explained a lot of things on this initiative. So again, thank you, Chief, for that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it, Chief. Mr. Clerk?
Next report, Public Works Department, Matt Ames, Construction Incorporated. Good evening, Mayor, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening. For Public Works at this time, we'll entertain any questions that we have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ames. Trustee Marino?
Why? Never mind, nothing. What about it?
No. Trustee McGrill?
No questions.
Trustee Turner?
Just want to say thank you, Director Ames, keeping it clean over there and everything under control as far as your department is concerned. Thank you very much.
Trustee Benson?
No comment.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes, I do have one question. Well, two. One, I want to make a comment. Thank you for taking care of some of the sidewalk issues in the Harvester area. I know we do have a lot of seniors that walk around, and we've addressed some of the sidewalk problems for them over in that area. So thank you for responding quickly to that. The other thing was I had the opportunity with Director Ames regarding, and I'm sure Trustee Rivera is aware of it, with the salt situation. Can you please, if you want, can you just elaborate a little bit on the update with our shelter, with our salt, and kind of where we're at as far as protecting it? I know you guys have been working on, you know, getting it ready for the winter, to be all shaped up and protected from the elements. So I want to elaborate just a little bit so they know.
With Trustee Abraham, the intent for any retrofits to our current salt storage was to, nothing else, try and get maybe another 3 years of life out of it. I've got photographs that we'll probably present at some future to the board. When we removed all the salt, discovered as what we thought was a deterioration of the foundation wall was, it's almost beyond reproach. However, we were able to shore up some of the structural iron that's holding the thing together, and also, we did do some steel fabrication and overlaid with sheeting of treated plywood, 1/2 inch. So I think we got about 54 by 8 sheets that would allow us to, if nothing else, increase the storage capacity, as we said, by about 300 tons. So we've already begun the task of replacing the salt back into that storage facility, and we've got to take delivery of the salt that was purchased with the joint purchasing agreement statewide here. I would say in the next couple of days. They did afford us a couple more weeks without charging us for storage fees at the facility with North American Salt Storage. So at some point, I do know that, like you said, the road is going to be road, and the decision is going to have to be made in terms of the purchase of something akin to a clear span salt storage. Maybe we could house it here behind the water tower. And like I said, that is about a $250,000 expense. So I think our total cost for this thing is probably going to be in line with what it was budgeted for. I think about $8,000. And like I said, we'll get a couple more years out of it and some increased storage capacity. So.
A couple of things. Number one, and I'm going to say them all, and you can respond to them. Number one, I know that the majority of the summer help is gone. Summer help has been terminated, that we had to do a grant. But I'd like you to speak to some of the things we got accomplished because we had all those individuals here over the summer that got accomplished. I also like to know what the status is of the tree trimming, and when we can get a projection or a plan for the future removal for these trees, because I know there's an extensive amount, and I know we can't do them all at one time, so some kind of a plan for that. So.
We can start with the trees. We actually have been working with the attorneys for the RFP. We provided the information to the attorneys so that we can get together an RFP. Mark, you might be familiar with it. North Woodville, all the way to Temple, Foley, CCU. It's kind of a cookie cutter RFP that we found with the arborist. He was nice enough to assist us with that. That being said, the only trees that are being removed are those that pose an imminent threat. Those that have been identified as diseased, and we've actually gone out and taken a look. Bare branches, hollow trunks, those type of things. We've also asked the finance department to start charging some of those expenses to the NFT fund. We found out through our engineers that the Emerald Ash Boards, that the removal of the ash trees can be charged to the MFT fund and to alleviate some of the burden on our general fund. As it relates to the tree trimming process, we actually started in the Hollywood area, 9th Avenue, and worked our way west. And right now, we're on 19th Avenue. We've had to actually kind of do some things different over the last week, simply because, to your point, we lost a lot of our summer hands. And more importantly, I've got 4 full-time personnel that's either off because of injury, sickness, or planned vacation. And we've also been able to utilize the bucket truck that we lease for the retrofitting of the salt storage. So, barring the return of those full-time employees, we can pretty much conclude that tree trimming is a dead in the water. However, we do see an obvious need or an immediate need for the higher end of the bucket truck that we now lease from Runyon on an annual basis. We've sat down with Runyon, had them come in. Mayor Yu was privy to one of the meetings, and they came in after we told them that the bucket truck that they were proposing to sell us on the lease-to-own agreement was not sufficient. The mechanic John had a problem with the transmission, and the operators didn't think that it went high enough to address all of the canopy or tree canopies here in the village of Broadview. So we're still looking. We've asked them to provide some other options, and we're actually looking forward to attending the Public Works conference here in Broadview Place, I think in the next week and a half. So we might be able to find some surplus or used equipment there that we could possibly utilize. Mayor, your third question was?
What got accomplished with those kids this summer?
Well, tree planting, curb painting, sign replacements, tree trimming, concrete or sidewalk, restoration or removal replacements. We actually started along with the fire department flushing the hydrants with one of our seasonal employees, and of course, because we got a late start on that thing, we had to cease and desist simply because we were approaching our peak water usage time period. Detailed vehicles, we were able to, if nothing else, to your point, utilize individuals throughout all areas of the town, including industrial, for trash removal, bridge along the creeks. And I will say that I was pleased and impressed with the group of individuals that we got this year. We actually had a total of about 24 grant young people, and they wanted to send us more, but obviously at some point, it becomes unmanageable, simply because we count on our full and part-time employees to, if nothing else, oversee some of the tasks that these individuals were assigned to. Like I said, couple that with unforeseen sickness and injuries. We're grateful to have them leave right about the time that they left, because it would have been unmanageable. But good group of young people, and I think for a lot of them, we give them the exposure and the experience of their first job. Some, I think it was maybe about 2 or 3 that we actually repeatedly warned about horseplay or whatever the case might be, and we told them to try again next year. But we've got some young people that have a good start with their future. So
that's great. And just need to point out that a lot of these young people are from Broadview. They're our own young people. So that's it. That's all I got for you, Mr. Haines. Mr. Clerk?
Next agenda item And number 7, communications, we have none for tonight. Next one is, number 6. And number 7, old business. A, consideration of an ordinance approving the execution of an employment agreement for the Chief of Police, Louis C. Figueroa, for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motioned by trustee Morris and properly seconded by trustee McGrill to approve the contract for the police chief. Has everyone seen it, or has everyone seen the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, any questions or comments, start with trustee Marino.
Once again, I wish we would have taken the budget out of order like we've done in previous meetings. So I'm sorry I won't be able to vote to approve, because I would like to. So.
Thank you, trustee Marino. Trustee Moore?
I would just like to say that at the last meeting, when we tabled it, it didn't have anything to do with the chief. It was me. I'm gonna just take the full responsibility of tabling that, but personally, it didn't have anything to do with him or the job that he's doing. That's what I say. So that's it.
That's it? Did that conclude your response?
Yeah, that's just a
Thank you,
response.
trustee Morris. Trustee McGrill? No comments? Trustee Turner?
No comment.
Trustee Benson?
No.
Trustee Abraham?
No.
Okay, well, I don't have a whole lot of comments. I'm just grateful for the job he's done. He's restructured the department. He's hired a number of new individuals. And to make his job a little bit more easier, I know that I've challenged the police and fire commissioners to think outside the box along with the chief to try to get some things done. And it's kind of working well right now. So, and thank you guys for the things that you guys do. Jolene, Yancy, and I guess there's the other to the left. So, with that being said, I'll entertain a roll call on this one. Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Benson?
Yes.
Trustee Turner?
Yes.
Trustee McGrier?
Yes.
Trustee Morris?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino?
No, but only because we still don't have that authority. I'm very sorry.
Okay, and the motion carries 5-1 to approve the police chief contract. Mr. Clerk?
Item number 8, new business. A, consideration of an ordinance adopting the Chicago Electric Code 2013 edition of the village, for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
I'd like to make a motion to approve and to make this ordinance subject to the parties entering it, into it, a development agreement as well with the village program. No?
There's not a development agreement here. This is the electrical code.
Am I on the wrong one?
You're looking at the wrong one.
Sorry.
This is the.
I got your notes on the wrong one.
This is building department. So try your motion again, trustee McGrill.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And second by Turner. Okay. This is, it's quite, Dave, you want to talk about it? Go ahead, this is your department.
First thing I'd like to do, trustee Knapp, to amend his motion. It should be for the City of Chicago Electrical Code 2009 edition.
2009, as opposed to 2013.
And currently, our village code, we have an ordinance in place for the NEC code. Back in 2009, when the mayor took office, I wasn't sure that we had the proper ordinances and codes in place. And as I started working in the building department, I wanted to make sure that we had a basic electrical code in place. The NEC code is a national code, it's a nationwide code. The City of Chicago Electrical Code is specific to our region. Obviously, it's in Cook County, and it makes a lot more sense. It has stricter revisions, and it's specific to the region in which we live in. Obviously, when we have a national code, what you do in California, the wiring that you use, the conduit that you use in California is definitely not going to be the same that you use in the City of Chicago or in the Village of Broadview. So that's the purpose, as we start to review our, I start to review our codes and take another look at our ordinances, this is one of the things that we're going to revise and get updated to more accurately fit to where we are.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the members of the board, starting with trustee Moreno?
No?
Trustee Morris?
Yeah, I got a comment. My comment is, you know, I've been doing this for almost 6 years now, and I think what a lot of people don't understand is, and what I'm just starting to understand is, if we don't motion to approve something, then we can't talk about it. And that, to my point, is I have to try to get in touch with each one of them for the next 2 weeks, and we trying to figure out what's what. So a lot of times they'll say, you know, they motioned to approve that and then it failed because they didn't have enough information. No, it wasn't that. It was because we need to talk about it as a body, and this is the only time we can talk about it as a body, if you can understand that. You know, a lot of people, they come to the meetings and they don't understand the protocol that we have to go through, and I'm just starting to understand it being here this long, because after a while we look like we politicking up in here, because we don't talk to each other the way we should. But if we motion to approve it, that don't mean we have to approve it. We can still strike it down, but now we understand where everybody is at. So that's my comment.
Okay. Trustee McGriff? None. Trustee Turner?
No comment.
Trustee Benson?
None for this.
And trustee Abraham?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, is going to be adopted the 2009 electrical code for the city of Chicago. Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please make sure the ordinance reflects 09 as opposed to 13.
Yes.
Mr. Clerk?
Okay, new business. B, consideration of an ordinance to approve a special use permit for the operation of a drive-through facility at 1617 through 1625 Roosevelt Road for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve, and Mr. Mayor, this is the one, I got ahead of myself before, that we need to make sure that it is subject to the parties entering into a development agreement with the Village of Broadview.
Second.
Okay, probably motion by trustee McGriff and properly second by trustee Abraham. This went through the zoning board already, and who's at the zoning board? Was you at the zoning board, Mark?
I was not at the
Who's at the zoning board?
It was Bill and Tim.
For the 10. Is there anybody here from the zoning board? I don't see anybody from the zoning board. Well, the zoning board actually recommended to approve it with a couple of changes to it. I see the gentleman from Checkers here. Who's going to speak on it? When you guys want to speak, step up.
My name's Scott Gehrman. I'm with Equity. And in the audience, I have the principals of Equity, Chris Alexis and Ryan Murphy, and also the regional operations manager for Checkers, Eric Hawkins, who's our and Checkers is going to be our tenant. To your point, Mr. Mayor, if I may, there were some changes that the ZBA did want to have made to the...
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
In particular, to the entrance on Roosevelt Road.
Correct.
They recommended a installation of what we call a port shop to make it a right-in and a right-out only, and not a full maneuverable.
Just like Walgreens
For
across
those
the
of you who
street.
don't know where the pork shop is, it looks just like the Walgreens entrance on Roosevelt Road on
That's
the
right.
opposite side of the street.
That's right. So we've added that to our site plan, and that would be one of the points of our development. We're agreeing to it.
Questions or comments from the members of the board? Trustee Marino, I know you were here also.
Yeah, and one of the things that was discussed briefly, but it wasn't mentioned in the zoning board report, your proposal calls for you to also use the municipal parking lot. So it's not just the, where the Hollywood Video was, but the municipal parking lot as well.
Correct.
And there was a question brought up at the zoning board hearing about how we're going to be working through that with you in terms of a sale, a lease, You'd said that you're still going to let people park there that are not Checkers customers, correct? But we're going from, I think it was 22 or 24 spaces down to 14 spaces. So my concern with this is, by approving the special use permit, are we then saying, it implies that we're going along with you're occupying the municipal parking lot under these circumstances, but we still don't have any idea whether this is going to be a purchase, a lease, and how this is going to work as far as other people parking there.
Well, first of all, regarding the transaction, if you will. So they will have to.
Can I address Mr. Bromley's question? Because this is more of a legal question than something that the developer can address. The issue before the board right now is solely the issue of whether a special use permit should be granted for a drive-through. Part of the reason that we did that initially was because there are other issues that have to be worked out, and it's part of the conditions that are set forth in the zoning board recommendation. They have to comply with all the village ordinances. We have to put together a development agreement. This issue of parking is going to be addressed at a later stage. Right now, the only issue before the board is the drive-through issue.
But to answer the trustee's point, right now we're providing 19 spaces, which is over part. In terms of your zoning ordinance,
That includes the diagonals off the alley?
correct.
Okay.
We're only required to provide 14, but under our demand study that was done by our traffic engineer, who testified at the ZBA, the real demand is only 11. So we're going to have 8 extra spaces. And the public is going to be able to park in this area. Mr. Hawkins can testify as to when the peak times are, but and when the lull times are, if you will, for his business. And there'll be sufficient parking, we believe, for the entire commercial neighborhood. Not to mention that one of the stalls is being lost to landscaping. We're meeting the Roosevelt Road streetscape plan.
And the point is that the issue of parking is not an issue.
It's not what we're discussing right now.
But we still want to answer.
But it's not before the board of consideration. We don't want to money what it is.
Trust me, we're going to have a long, detailed conversation when it gets to the development agreement and some other issues. The parking will come back up again. It'll be another discussion anyway.
I just wanted to make it clear that by voting in favor of the special use permit, I didn't want the implication to be that I was therefore going along with the parking plan as it is now, and
You're not.
Okay.
You're voting on whether a special use permit should issue with regard to whether a drive-through.
they're designed for the drive-through.
That's all you're
Okay.
voting.
Just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Trustee Moore?
Yeah, I'm gonna say something again. Because I really do think that, like I said once before, that we really get above our heads up here. We are just working individuals, not professional in what you do, not in profession of what these guys do. So I think we make problems for ourselves by doing all this. We can talk and do the homework some other time instead of getting up in here and then I'm asking you questions like I'm a lawyer and I'm a bus driver. So, it gets to be monotonous, and it's every meeting. So we need to put some kind of safeguards in here to say what we can do, and that's like holding a kid's hand. We have to stop doing this every time we get up here. That's my comment.
Thank you, Trustee Moore. Trustee McGuire?
Yes, our approval tonight, is this plan still contingent upon IDOT's approval?
Well, we have to deal with IDOT for the Roosevelt Road and for 17th Street.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's a condition.
It's a condition.
The ZBA has recommended. And remember, what the ZBA does is make a recommendation to you. Ultimately, you set the parameters, whether you approve or exclude. And you motion to make a contingent on a development agreement.
Yes.
They recommended it to be contingent on state permits and what IDOT does. So that would be included in your approval, contingent on
those items.
Very good, thank you.
Trustee Turner?
No comment.
Trustee Benson?
I did attend the zoning board meeting. It was a good meeting. I'm glad I got an email regarding where he was. He did good, and I'm okay with it.
Thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
No questions.
I have none. I've talked to you at nauseam. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion carries for the special use.
C, thank you. C, consideration of an ordinance approving the appropriations of funds for the annual budget for the fiscal year May 1st, 2013 through April 30th, 2014 for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I second.
Okay, then probably motion by trustee Abraham, probably second by trustee McGreer. I'm going to ask the budget officer, Mr. Hood, to address some minor corrections in the budget, a couple of scrivener's errors. I do know that his Excel sheet had some bad numbers in there in a couple of spots, so.
Let me say a couple of things. I'm hoping everyone got a chance to review the last email you got today. And the reason I want to say, just to inform everyone else that's not on the board, through the process and through our meeting on Thursday, all the board members and the mayor looked over the budget, had some very good ideas that they wanted to incorporate into the budget for fiscal 14. So that the budget they're voting on tonight is a little different than what was put out 4 weeks ago. I just wanted to hit those items briefly. The biggest item in revenue is with the fire department planning on adding 4 new people. They did a presentation on Thursday explaining how the revenues are going to increase. Those revenues have been reflected in this budget. They're separated out under a miscellaneous item here, but they are really parts of all the different revenue streams of the fire department. There was also $10,000 added to the executive 100th anniversary celebration. For those of you that don't know, we have our 100th year as a village coming up. This money is for planning celebration. It won't occur this fiscal year, even though the date is this year. We'll probably have the next summer during next fiscal year. And another big item in the executive session is a contingency. There were a lot of people on the board that felt that there was a need for a possible raise for employees sometime during this fiscal year. We put a contingency in. If we meet our revenue targets, once some of the other issues are resolved, and we know that it's a sustainable thing to do, it is possible to have a raise for our employees. But we didn't want to go ahead and just grant that without knowing for a fact that we can continue to support that going forward. But the contingency is in there. Also in that contingency was a salary for a senior bus driver. For you that might not be familiar, CTA is offered to provide us with a bus. We'd have to provide Pace. Thank you. So that there's a contingency in there. So that's the change. Most of the other changes were minor. Let me just quickly go through everything worth mentioning. There's several items in the fire department that we decided to wait on. They're not critical to do this year. That is also to help offset the expenses of bringing the firemen in this budget. Other than that, in the police department, there was a typo. It said 500, it should have been 5,000. I corrected that. And there is, we've referred to a couple times to the camera that's going to be put up on Lexington and 17th, which is going to be done with TIP funds. There's a transfer from Roosevelt to the 17th Avenue TIP to allow that to happen. That's the main changes from what was put out. With the Scrivener errors, when I copied these two different, the beginning and the changes, I concentrated on the line items to figure out what the differences was. What I didn't think about when I pulled it over, the formulas became static and they didn't recalculate. So I got to go back through do the totals. All the line items add up to totals.
The total amount, right.
Yeah, the totals need to be recalculated. But individually, all the line items are the same.
Yeah, you had me pulling my hair out, I know that.
Yes.
But it's okay.
But I also figured out that's what it was in the presentation. Like, I knew I did spend so much time making that balance, I couldn't make it balance.
Okay.
Same thing.
Well, might as well stand there, Mr. Budget Officer, because we're getting ready to go down the gauntlet with the trustees, so.
Okay.
Trustee Marino, you're the first one up to bat.
I'm just glad that we finally have a budget.
Okay. Trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer?
We've talked about it several times. Thank you.
For the public, they have lived with me for a week. They've asked me a lot of questions. If they weren't at the meeting, they spent plenty of time reviewing this with me in the office.
John, thank you for all your input and your work on this. Jan, thank you for your input in our meetings last week and this week.
Trustee Turner?
No questions?
Trustee Benson?
I sent you some more questions today.
You did?
I saw this one. But, you can answer me, you know? Sure. Thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
No.
Okay, I have nothing for you. I mean, I've talked to you enough over the last couple of months, so I don't need to talk to you anymore. Mr. Clerk, may we have a roll call on this one, please?
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Benson.
Yes.
Trustee Turner.
Yes.
Trustee McGreer.
Yes.
Trustee Morris.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino.
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimously.
Next item on the agenda, D, consideration of an ordinance approving an agreement by and between the Village of Broadview and B&F Technical Code Services Incorporated for the provision of commercial and residential plumbing inspection services for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, the property motion by Trustee Abraham, property second by Trustee Turner. Have all the trustees seen this? Does everyone know where what's going on with this particular agenda item? Well, I just want to make sure that everybody's seen it first day. You can go on and speak to it, Dave, please be brief.
This is inaccurate as well. Deemed this should be plumbing and electrical. We had a tentative agreement with B&F to do plumbing. We've had that agreement for a couple of years, which everybody should be aware of. I wanted to add the electrical.
So you want to add electrical to it?
Yes. And this is part of me taking a look at our department and making it run a little more efficient and giving time to look at different things.
So noted. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Marino?
No.
Trustee Morris?
No.
Trustee McGreer? No. Trustee Turner?
Yes, sir.
Trustee Benson?
Just want to make you know, we dealt with this the last board meeting. It was just in a different spot. So it's the same deal. Is it not electrical?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Trustee Abraham?
No.
Okay. And thanks, Dave, because Dave is actually in the process of restructuring his department and streamlining, saving taxpayers some additional money. That's great. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously.
Next item on the agenda, E, consideration of an ordinance authorizing and approving the execution of an agreement with AT&T regarding the provision of basic telephone service for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Probably motion by Trustee McGreer, properly second by Trustee Abraham to approve this agreement with AT&T. Just let the record know we've been operating using the phone lines with AT&T without a contract for over a year. The contract was finally done. We got retroactive pay for the overage that we paid them going forward. So, yeah. Questions or comments from the members of the board? Trustee Marino?
No.
Trustee Moore? No. Trustee McGreer?
Just a quick comment. I worked with Robert Hurd on this 4 years ago when we were negotiating with AT&T the first time. And I just want to thank Robert Hurd for his work on this and getting us the retroactive credits due to us. AT&T could be hard to deal with, but I'm hoping that we have an excellent relationship with them going forward, and we can continue on getting excellent help.
Good deal. Trustee Turner? Trustee Benson?
What I'm hearing sounds good.
Absolutely. Trustee Adrian?
None.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, that motion passes unanimously.
F, consideration of an ordinance authorizing and approving the execution of an agreement with AT&T regarding the provision of high-volume calling and long-distance services for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee McGuire, second by trustee Abraham. This is separated out just because it deals with long-distance services. Questions, comments from the members of the board? Trustee Marino?
Nope.
Morris?
No.
Trustee McGuire? No. Trustee Turner? Trustee Benson? And trustee Abraham?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained by Benson. So that motion carries. Yeah.
G, consideration of an application for a business license for Vintage Cleaners Incorporated for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Properly motion by trustee Benson and properly second by trustee Abraham to approve this business license. Trustee Benson?
Vintage Cleaners Incorporated will be located in 104 Broadview Village Square. I have all their inspections. I did speak with one of the owners today who is in the audience regarding the sales tax issue. There will be no sales tax, in case anybody was questioning that. And she has put her FEIN number here. Her article of incorporation has been supplied. Her inspections are completed. I wanted to know what the violations are and the requirements. She is here, we wanted to speak with her, but I have nothing to say.
Nothing but that's it. Dave, you have anything to add to this one? Everything done?
The cleaners is going to go where King used to be.
So it faces Survey Road.
Yeah, survey.
It's on the back there. Okay. Vintage Cleaners? That's you? How you doing? Welcome. Any questions, comments from the members of the board? Trustee Marino?
No.
Trustee Moore? No. Trustee McGuire?
Yeah, I have a question. Why are we not getting sales tax for this one?
Because you don't get to tax the cleaners, they don't sell anything. It's a
Services only? Okay. No questions?
No. Trustee Turner?
No questions?
Trustee Benson? Welcome. Trustee Abraham?
Thank you for coming to the village.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, that motion carries unanimously. Welcome, brother.
Thank you.
H, consideration of an application for a business license for Maria E. Ramirez, doing business as Esmeralda Fashion T-shirts and more for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Second.
Okay, it's probably a motion by trustee Benson, probably second by trustee Abraham to approve this one. Trustee Benson?
Esmeralda Fashion T-shirts and more will be located at 1909 Broadview Road. They have all their inspections that have been completed. I just wanted proof of FEIN, of course, the sales tax, I got that. There will be a clothing store selling T-shirts, socks, pants, gowns, boxers, hair supplies, jewelry, cosmetic jewelry, hats, perfumes, etc. I do have to prove the sales tax as well as everything else should. And that's all I got unless they're here.
Anyone here from Esmeralda? Okay, there's no one here.
You got something?
Dave?
They're going to be going next to Como with the vintage clothing store there.
So it's next to Como.
Close, this close by.
Next to Jim.
She's not exactly.
This is next to Jim. Next to Jim.
I'm sorry, next to Jim.
Right.
Okay, there you go.
1907 is still vacant.
All right. Any questions or comments from the members of the board?
No.
No.
None.
I'm opposed to.
You're those too? You don't like t-shirts?
I like t-shirts, but I think we have enough stores like this in Broadview.
So you rather leave the bank?
No, but you always call me.
Trustee Benson?
But I still don't have an ordinance against it, so I'm in favor of it and welcome.
And Trustee Abraham?
Again, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
No questions.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Me.
Hearing 5-1. We'll be welcoming Esmeralda's fashion t-shirt.
Item number 9, application, authority to expend funds. We have none. Number 10, committee reports. Finance Committee, Trustee Abraham.
Yes, good evening, residents. A few items. Number one, obviously I want to thank our Finance Director, Jan, and our Budget Officer, Tom, for doing the work and putting in the time and effort to get this budget completed and get it to where we need to be. And on the other part of it, the second half of it, would be I want to thank all the department heads who made sacrifices, on the wish list to make sure this works for the village and for the taxpayers. Item number 2, I was able to speak with both Jan and Tom about the garbage fund. They provided some documentation, some questions were answered. So we'll be able to comment on that at the next board meeting, because obviously our priority was the big budget and the completion. Item number 3, with that being said, I want to thank Trustee McGreer. He also did a follow-up for addressing our legal costs regarding the past elections for this year. So, and what it was going to cost our taxpayers. So, and I do serve, as a financial chair, I serve with Trustee Morris and Trustee McGreer. So I appreciate their time and effort also as far as investigating that and talking to Tom and Jan. And again, if you need additional information, you could talk to Trustee McGreer, because he did get some numbers and figures from you as residents regarding the legal costs that we have to bear and pay for these elections that after David Orr's office put everybody on the ballot. So I believe there was no need for those additional challenges in residency and all that stuff. Item number 4, obviously I don't think Jan commented on it. Our auditors are here. They're going to be here for what, the next 2 weeks? Pardon me? 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks. So, and then we'll be getting a report from them. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you.
Next report, Business Committee, Trustee Benson.
Good evening. Just 3 things. I'm in agreement with Trustee Abraham. Thank you to Tom and Jan, to all the department heads for definitely getting the budget done. It has taken a while, and they have gotten it done, and it's looking pretty good. So thank you. The next thing, I just want to piggyback on Trustee Morrison's comment earlier regarding when we make a motion to approve something and we can discuss. That's just what it is. We can discuss up here. And when our time has passed to discuss and someone brings something up that we didn't think of that way, or we may have a question now based on what they said, that's the time when we are able to discuss. Unless I'm confused about something, but that's the time when we are able to discuss the issue in front of the public. And my third thing that I wanted to mention is regarding the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, I have been beaten with a bat to get this started, and so I have started to get this started. I have reached out to the West Suburban Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who I got some help with that. And I reached out to them. I've got some contact people who to speak with. I will be having a meeting with Mr. Ware this Wednesday regarding the chamber, and I will be going to visit this particular chamber that's located in Hodgkins. And this chamber houses just a lot of communities can join with this chamber. So I'm just going to get some initial information and find out everything that I need to know in order to get Broadview started up. But I will keep you abreast of everything I'm doing with this chamber so that you know that I am working on it, okay? And did I have anything else? No, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Benson.
Building and Public Property, Trustee Turner.
Nothing.
Thank you, Trustee Turner. Mr. Clerk?
Street sidewalks and alleys, trustee McGreer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, trustees, audience. Director Ames touched on a lot of things that are important to discuss regarding public works and the activities this summer with regards to the summer help. We did get a lot accomplished this year, and without that summer help, our regular staff being on vacation and sick leave and injuries would not be able to do everything that we need to do in the village today with our budget, with our staff. So we want to again thank the grants and those sources that we were able to tap into in the summer. Last meeting, we had a discussion about the garbage fund, and there was some gross misrepresentation of our garbage fund and the status of it from one of our trustees, Brown Marino. And I have detailed information as well as a summary as to what the status of our garbage fund is. And regardless of what she wants to say and twist your minds into believing our status is, we are still in the shape that we knew we would be in. We get revenues, we pay out. We're not paying out of this fund anything that's not supposed to be paid out. This roughly 20-page detail goes all the way back from May 2009 and as current as April 30th, 2013. And it details every line item of payment, whether it was from Group or to Groot, DMP Construction, Edmar Press, who does the yard stickers, the yard waste stickers, and there's not a penny in here that was spent that should not have been in our garbage fund. So regardless of what you hear, sometimes it's not always true. Here's the proof right here. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, trustee McGreer. Trustee Moore?
Fire, police, and civil service, trustee Morris.
First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to the chief for his contract being approved today. And, you know, like I said, it was just, when I tabled it last week, it was like the wrong thing to do because we couldn't talk about it. So, you know, it was a no-brainer for me. Anybody that could come in here and make 2 police officers look like we got 10 going around the village, then, I mean, you know, like I said, it's a no-brainer. And just congratulations in order for that. And I'm glad that we brought you back so you can continue doing the great work you're doing. I came in and talked to the fire chief. You know, he been gone to a convention all week. So, but me and him, we had a good little talk today. And I try to keep up with both of these guys, but I can't. I gotta work, I got kids, you know, they talking you all the way out the door, hey, one more thing, you know. But I see that everybody is the same way. Even when I was a finance chair, you know, Jan, her, Tom, these people, they got all these ideas. And I think that if we as a board would start just letting them work for us, instead of us trying to tell them what to do, I think we will be better off. Because a lot of questions that I have for Jan, I'm not a CPA, I don't have a college degree in accounting and all this stuff, but sometimes when we get up here, like I say, it's almost like we politicking when we should be asking some different questions. We should know that these are the professionals. We hire them to work for the village so we can understand what's going on. And if we got all these questions, then we need to get rid of them and get somebody in here who can explain what's going on. Not us. That's not what we up here to do. I think that we up here to make the best decision for the people that's in the village, because I pay taxes too. So when the garbage fund and all that go up, I gotta pay that too. So you can believe that I done did all the homework that I can do to try to figure out that, hey, is this gonna be right? And then when they say we putting Groot in here, we doing this, we doing that, you know, somebody gotta make these tough decisions. And I challenge anybody, you can have my spot. I'm trying to do the best I can, and I'm sure that everybody up here is fighting for that same thing. But I challenge you, can have this spot. Because when you come up in here, you actually gotta do some work. This is not just coming in here every other Monday, yay, nay, no, yes. Okay, what is he doing? What is she doing? It's not like that. You spend hours on the phone talking to these people. And this is, I just want the audience to understand that I'm doing the best I can. You know, we always speaking for each other. I'm not speaking for them. They can speak for themselves. I'm doing the best that I can with the knowledge that I have. I'm not acting like that I'm a college scholar and I can tell the chief about, I don't know nothing about putting out a fire. My house catch on fire, I'm running outside. You know, so I'm just trying to get us to understand that, you know, like I say, I've been doing this for almost 6 years now, and it's a process. And you have to let the people that you employ to do this stuff, do it. If I got a problem with Dave, I ain't scared to tell him I got a problem with him. I don't have to do it in here though. I can catch him out in the parking lot and say, hey man, you know, Mr. Ames, me and him, we done went at it many days up in here. But that don't mean I don't like him. That's just his idea, my idea. But he knows more than me when it comes to construction and storing salt. I don't know nothing about storing salt. So, you know, that's my report. I'm not trying to keep everybody here longer than we need to be, but you know, it's just a thing. It's something that grows on you, you know. And don't let me forget Ms. Brown Marino over here. You know, everybody's enemies is not my enemies. Understand that. But I think that sometimes she gets just besides herself. Because and the reason that I say that is that she is not a lawyer, she is not a fire chief, a police chief, or none of that. I understand her concerns. I understand them concerns. You want to do the best thing for the village, but you cannot do it at our expense.
Amen.
That's all. That ends my report. I'm done.
Mr. Clerk? Water, drainage, and
I'm sorry, I'm done.
So first of all, when it comes to the garbage fund, and I also have a breakdown line by line of where the money went. The fact is, we did go $250,000 over budget, which is what I was talking about last time. And during a time when the trustees were not allowed to monitor where we were at with the expenditures versus the budget. I do want to make it very clear that the village attorneys do not represent me. They are not charging for representing me in the depositions or anything like that. I'm not the only one who's been notified of depositions, and my understanding is that any of the board members would have the option of attending them. I have never gotten an indication from the village attorneys that they didn't want my input, because I've been around paying attention to these things for a long, long time. And I was always under the impression that they welcomed my input. Above and beyond that, I think any other discussion about that litigation should take place in the executive session and not in a public setting like this, because it is ongoing litigation. And that concludes my report.
Item number 9, village clerk. I have no communications or no report today. Item 11. Item 12, village president, Joseph Jones.
Okay, we do have an executive session coming up, but I'm going to weigh my 2 cents in, and then I'm going to yield the floor to A&M Audit. First of all, the discussion was not about the actual litigation, it was about the legal fees incurred because of discussions carried on with one of the trustees. And the board has every right and actually has the duty and the responsibility to question tax dollars being spent for whatever reason. That's the job. That's what the finance committee is put together for. Is there an oversight committee to make sure that we're spending the money properly? And when you see a trustee's name on an invoice, you know, it raises an eyebrow, especially when it's the same trustee repeatedly, and they're sitting up here on the board, and we have a responsibility, a fiduciary responsibility, to not spend taxpayer dollars frivolously. And in this case, you would consider a lot of these expenditures to be frivolous expenditures, needless expenditures. And that's all I'm going to say on that note. With that being said, those of you who were at the last meeting, I do believe that I passed out a red folder like this to all the trustees. Unfortunately, it was an oversight on the clerk that did not get it on the agenda for tonight for a presentation. A&M audit, they are here, and I'm going to yield the floor to them. You can come on up, Mr. Carr. And I talked to Mr. Pandolfi, who's a personal friend of mine. I talked to Jim several times. A&M audit was here a couple of years ago, as a matter of fact. Did a presentation for us, and I'm going to let you tell about what you guys do. Okay. But what ended up happening is that they were in competition with, there's several different companies that do what you do. And apparently the village board at the time had another offer for someone else that we decided to go with, but we never saw any results of that. Now, having said that, Jim contacted me back and asked to do a presentation, so we're going to allow the presentation. I don't know what we're going to do with it at this point, but let them know who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Okay, I'm going to take 3 minutes because I know it's late. Yeah. So I'll stick to the 3 minutes. My name is Greg Carr. I'm president of A&M Audit. We've been in business 11 years. My company has over 200 years of industry-specific experience. Some of the companies that are out there in the industry don't have industry experience. I was vice president of NICOR for 7 years. I was vice president of Washington Gas for 7 years. I worked for pipelines. Our company has experience, and I think the difference between our company and the other companies is that a lot of the companies come in and they pick the low-hanging fruit out of the tree. We climb all the way to the top of the tree to find everything. We're a performance-based contract, and we audit utilities. We're not auditing the municipality or the village here. We're auditing the utilities. You have a relationship with the gas company, the electric company, the phone companies, and we audit all of those using our experience, over 200 years of experience, looking at these contracts and understanding what's available in the marketplace, and provide you that guidance. Because no one would expect, just as the gentleman here said earlier, that's not your expertise. That's why you bring companies like us in, is to show you the skeletons in the closet that you wouldn't know unless you had worked for utilities. So we audit the costs that you pay for the utilities. We audit the franchise agreements that you have with the utilities. A lot of times these franchise agreements are very old agreements, and they haven't been looked at in many years. We look at those and make sure that the utilities are in compliance with those. And then the last thing we look at, which is one of the most popular things that we look at, is that we audit the collections by the utilities of the taxes that you have on your utilities. So if you have a gas tax, electric tax, a phone tax, we audit to make sure that you're actually getting the money you're supposed to. Because until, and actually my company was involved, my person was involved in passing legislation that mandated the utilities in the state of Illinois now have to open their books to allow you to audit the tax collections. Prior to September 2010, the utility had no obligation to show you their books. Now, based on that law, they're required to open their books every 2 years and show you exactly what they're collecting and from whom they're collecting it. And that's the last service that we do, but that oftentimes is the most significant service, because with all the changes in the community and over time things change, population, demographics of a community come and go, change and so forth. We find those through database audits and looking at your ordinances. We find that some people are simply not paying their fair share. And one thing I will tell you is deregulation. I'm sure all of you have heard about deregulation, new electric companies, these companies. Well, believe it or not, a lot of them are not collecting the taxes properly. The utility is regulated by the state. These new companies are regulated by no one. It's caveat emptor. And so they may or may not be collecting those taxes, and you have no idea who they are, nor do you know whether they're collecting it or not. I can guarantee you're not getting checks from them. You're probably getting checks from NICOR, ComEd, telephone companies. That's it. But there's people selling into your community, and they're avoiding paying those taxes because they're not even aware, in many cases, that there is a tax that should be collected. So that's one area that could be ripe for this community to raise revenue and create parity among all businesses and residences within the community, because you have a lopsided arrangement right now, most likely. We do it on a contingent fee basis, no upfront costs. We share 50/50 with you for 36 months after we find something. We bring the report to you, you read the report, you decide what you want to implement as a body, and then we go and we do all the implementation so that it's done correctly and it's done timely. And then once you start receiving the benefits of our audit, then we start charging our fee. It takes very, very little amount of your time in order to have us do this. We need one set of bills from each of the utilities you want us to audit. Everything else we can get electronically or through a letter of authority, get it from the utility itself. So it's a very simple process, very little, I would say 3 to 5 hours of time is the most it would take. And we normally work with superintendent of works and individuals like that. The finance department, we work with them, and that's pretty much the extent of our involvement with the community. We bring this stuff back, and then you make the decision.
Okay.
And again, I think the difference between us and everybody else is the experience, and we climb to the top of the tree as opposed to the low-hanging fruit. A lot of companies, it's really easy to come in and pick the low-hanging fruit, but that's not what we do. We go all the way to the top of the tree. So I'll leave you with that. Any questions?
Well, glad to have you here, Mr. Carr. Trustee Marino, you got a question?
No.
For Mr. Carr, Trustee Moore?
You say it's your company?
Yeah.
Do you actually get in there and climb the tree?
I'll do whatever it takes. I don't know. It's business, man. I haven't had to climb a tree yet, but if you got one and makes money, I can climb it.
Trustee Turner?
Okay.
Trustee Benson?
Yeah, I do, real quick. I read your envelopes. Do you audit whether or not the residents or whoever's paying that bill is being overcharged as well as on the other side?
Well, we look at the village's bills to make sure you're.
Oh, just
the village.
Okay, whether or not you're getting our fair
Whether you're
share
getting overcharged.
from what they're charging them.
Right.
Got you, okay.
As far as the businesses and residents that are buying from these third parties and
Right.
the confusion there with deregulation, so they don't even know most of the time there's an ordinance on the books because you've never seen these third parties show up here at the council meeting, I suppose, and talk to you about what they're doing in town. Well, they're not doing anything other than selling energy, telemarketing, door-to-door, mail, direct mail, that type of thing. People switch, suddenly no longer being collected. How are you going to fix that? That's where we come in. We fix that.
Trustee Abraham?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing, I'll get in touch with either you,
Yeah,
Jeff,
that's good.
and let you know what transpires here.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. With that, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the regular board meeting and move on to the executive session.
Make a motion that we suspend the regular board meeting and move to executive session.
Second.
Properly motion by Trustee Turner, properly second by Trustee Abraham. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, to discuss litigation and personnel. I was going to come back. I didn't come to give it my last 2 points have been Friday, and I got one on Saturday. And I didn't have I feel like a old, like 80 years old.
Whatever works, okay? You were asleep.
What you doing, sir? You're looking good. You're looking good out there, man. I like what's going on. Just This is hold my foot. I sell some sweet shoes. 8 years old. Man, you good, man. I'm talking. You got like 150 years.
Yeah, I'm showing up. Thank you for coming out. How do you feel? You happy to see sidewalks over there? You got out there right away. Take care of this road.